Hey guys, and welcome back. It's your girl, Yummy.com. And this episode is brought to you by Netflix. No, it's not. Let's be real, Netflix doesn't know who I am.
Yet until I get enough copyright strikes. That's the plan.
Basically, this episode, if you don't see the title, which I know you do, is about one of my favorite comedians, Bosef. His name is not Bosef. It's probably like Beauregard. Beauregard? Who knows? Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham. Now, if you don't know who Bo Burnham is, he's a comedian who got to start off on YouTube making funny videos and eventually got into the comedy clubs, and started making more comedy, made Zach something on MTV, I remember. I really have a really bad memory. And then, went on to do comedy specials and eventually made the critically acclaimed movie called 8th Grade, starring Elsie Fisher. A genius of our generation.
Kayla feels good about herself making her videos, almost as like a coping mechanism for her anxiety, and like expressing herself. And that's like a high of it. And then she's like, kind of like looking at all the other people doing crazy cool stuff in real life. And that, makes her feel not so good.
Anyways, this video is basically to give you a recommendation again, or appreciation. I don't know. My videos teeter between recommendation and appreciation. It's really appreciation, but I also am highly recommending these people. So like a little bit of both, who knows? And I think what makes Bo Burnham different than other comedians is that I am very adamant on this. I feel like he could make money as a musician, period. Like him and Mo Gillian.
Cause I'm the pum pum masher, the pum pum masher, the pum pum masher, mash up the pum, I'm the pum pum masher, pum pum masher, pum pum masher, mash up the pum, I'm the pum pum masher. See me, mate, I'm a top geezer. Get 2 cans, mate, chuck 'em in the freezer. Get 2 cans for Sally and Lisa. Get 2 cans for Sally and Lisa.
Really like lean into music as part of their comedy, but their songs are low-key bops. Hi guys. Okay, while I was going on that ramble a couple months ago, it has come to my attention that obviously Bo Burnham has been putting and working on something, and for his epic return, of course, I wanted to have something a little bit more succinct other than me just rambling about how much I love Bo Burnham. So I am going to insert this here and do a list of a quick five or six Bo Burnham songs that I truly love and I think really show his growth as an artist and how talented he truly is. With that being said, I'm going to need my notebook, so okay. So, the Bo Burnham chapter of my life. Obviously, I've talked about how much I love him, how brilliant I think he is. I don't think at that time I had seen Promising Young Woman, but I, of course, think he did a phenomenal job in that. I, of course, was rooting for him to be the guy who's, like, just not all the guys, but he was a useless man.
You don't think I'm a bad person? Cassie, I love you. I love you, Cassie. You gotta forgive me. Tell me to forgive me.
No. and I love that he's comfortable playing that role, and showcase such an important story as well. Chose to be involved in such an important story. Obviously, I love all the things he does, but we will start at the top, which is one of my favorite things, and that is lower your expectations.
You might think that this girl only exists in your mind, but she's real. But last week she died. If you want love, lower your expectations a lot. You might think your dick is a gift. I promise it's not.
Lower Your Expectations, if you couldn't tell, is about how Prince Charming would never settle for you. Basically, it's this kind of allegory story about whether you should, how you should lower your expectations, how you shouldn't be putting all of your hopes and faith in a partner, in a man, or in another person, how that you should lower your expectations for love and just find, you know, the person who's perfect for you and not the person who's just in general perfect, you know, not that, you know, cookie cutter perfect. I love that song. It has some really great lines. Let's montage it up, guys.
Now you might think that this guy only exists in your mind. But guess what? You're right. He said, sarcastically setting up a second verse in a comedy's And if he's got a thing for feet, say fuck it, sweep me off them. We all suck, but love can make us suck less. We all deserve love. It's the very best part of being alive. And I would know I just turned 25.
Yes, I truly, truly appreciate that song. I think that it's one of the first steps I took to, like, you know, be like, hey, maybe I'm good enough and maybe I need to stop looking for dudes who are basically Reggae John from Bridgerton. Basically. Next up is Kill Yourself.
Is don't listen to a song like this. Have you ever felt sad or lonely? Have you ever felt 2 feet tall? Have you ever thought, man, if only I was anybody else at all? They like to kick you when times get rough, and you give your all, but it's not enough, and sticks and stones might break your bones, but words can break your heart. But if you don't know where to go, I'll show you where to start. Kill yourself. It'll only take a minute, and you'll be happy that you did it. Just go over to your oven and shove your head in it.
Pause. I am not telling you to actually kill yourself, and neither is he. And he says it in that line.
I sound unempathetic. I sound mean and rude. Suicide is an epidemic, and I don't want to be misconstrued. Signs of depression go overlooked. So if you're depressed, then you need to book a therapy session. Talk about your depression and let a professional hear it. But if you search for moral wisdom in Katy Perry's lyrics, then kill yourself.
It's basically a look at people who use their live, laugh, love, inspirational quote, Pinterest board for life as a reason to live on and go on. If you are threatening your life because it suits your aesthetic, that is not correct. And that's what this song is about. That is kind of the vibe of this I hate the word, the vibe of this song. It's kind of telling the story of, like, if you have serious mental health issues, obviously you should go talk to a doctor. He tells you to go do that, consult a doctor, all these other things. But if you are looking for the deeper meaning in Katy Perry's lyrics, as he says, then you're looking in the wrong place, and you should just kill yourself. Not really kill yourself, but, like, what are you doing that you want to use this total suicidal aesthetic? I'm so depressed. Anxiety is my is my everything kind of vibe.
Get it through your head, it being a bullet. Stick your tongue in a plug. Suck a pipe of exhaust. Make some toast in the tub. Nail yourself to a cross. Hold your breath till it's gone. Drink a gallon of mace. Be gay in Iran. Let Oprah sit on your face.
Next up is From God's Perspective.
You're not going to heaven. Why the fuck would you think I'd ever kick it with you? None of you are going to heaven. There's a trillion aliens cooler than you. You shouldn't abstain from rape just 'cause you think that I want you to. You shouldn't rape 'cause rape is a fucked up thing to do. Pretty obvious, just don't fucking rape people. Didn't think I had to write that one down for you.
I love this one. I know, controversial, right? I am the child of a pastor. Take me to the King. And she loves the song From God's Perspective. If you've heard the song, which I hope I played the right clip at the beginning, you will know why I'm saying that. I do love that he referred to just humankind as like God's messed up game of Sims.
We're not going to heaven. Eat 1,000 crackers, sing 1,000,000 hymns. None of you are going to heaven. You're not my children, you're a bad game of Sim.
I think that it makes such an important point that like your God is not necessarily the thing, the be all, the end all that would it's the thought of like you loving God and killing for him is not in his agenda. Like the things that you do to please your God, if he is the good and merciful God that we all know him to be, whatever God it may be, not just Christian God, any of the gods, I don't think there is a God out there that would want you to be a heinous cretin of a man, even Satanism, like nothing wants you to be a terrible person. Like, and also, so like, we're all just fighting over what the correct name of like this force that we foresee as our like moral compass meter is, when we should all and basically all have most of the same morals, which is don't kill, respect people, like saying the same things over and over again, just in different languages from different mouths.
You argue and you bicker and you fight. Atheists and Catholics, Jews and Hindus argue day and night over what they think is true. But no one entertains the thought that maybe God does not believe in you.
And we're all fighting like, oh, you think it came from this mouth and I think it came from this mouth, so you should die. Like, no, that's not how God would want it. That's not how my God, at least, would see it. And he talks about that throughout this whole piece From God's Perspective. He also mentions aliens, which, hella dope. But yeah, that's kind of the basis of where we're going with this. It's like, it's this idea of like, maybe, and also he ends it off on the tip of like saying this.
Pray so badly for heaven, knowing any day might be the day that you die. But maybe life on earth could be heaven. Doesn't just the thought of it make it worth a try?
Which I think is 100% correct. I think that if we treated Earth the way we think we're going to treat heaven, we would all be on this rock and be having a much better time. And that's kind of the stance that is going on within that. The next one we have is the classic the old Bo classic Art is Dead.
Me psychotic, they must be demented to think that I'm worthy of all this attention, of all of this money you worked really hard for. I slept in late while you worked at the drugstore. My drug's attention, I am an addict, but I get paid to indulge in my habit. It's all an illusion. I'm wearing makeup, Art is dead, so people think you're funny. How do we get those people's money?
I love this one because as a creative myself, which I don't like the word. I don't know why I don't like the word. Like, yes, I am creative, but calling myself a creative just feels super self-aggrandizing, and I don't know why. That's just a me personal thing. I don't mind when other people call themselves a creative. I just prefer not to call myself a creative. I am creative. I do create things.
Like any idiot could do.
But I'm not a creative. I don't know. I guess it's kind of how some people hate being called an influencer when they like do influence things in social media, but they're not an influencer. I don't know. But it is, as someone who does create on the internet, and well, I do work on the internet again, even in my real job. As someone who does that, I think that this idea of art being dead, of this the kind of person that becomes an actor, a singer in the spotlight, and the kind of dilemma you deal with when you are a person like that, and you kind of realize the gravity in which you hold. And
An artist, please God forgive me. I am an artist. Please don't revere me. I am an artist. Please don't respect me. I am an artist. Feel free to correct me. Self-centered artist, self-obsessed artist. I am an artist. I am an artist.
when it's when you like pull yourself out of it and you're like, wow, like I'm doing this thing, I'm being paid millions for it, and like there are people suffering out there in the world who could probably do the same thing as me, but they just don't have the means or the things that are necessary. And it's just like, and it turns into this like, well, I did it and I deserve it kind of mentality just because I was special. And it's like, that's not it. Just because you're an artist doesn't mean you're special. Like, everyone's special, but like just because you're an artist doesn't make you more special than your fellow man. And I think that's one of the things that always keeps Bo Burnham's comedy super amazing, super realistic, super relatable, and super grounded, is because he is under the understanding of like, yes, I'm a talented person. I am a funny, talented man, but like what makes me more worthy than the next person? My talent doesn't necessarily mean that I'm better than the person who's working on a farm in Idaho trying to feed their family of 6.
Show has got a budget. The show has got a budget. All the poor people, way more deserving of the money, won't budget because we wanted our name in lights when we could have fed a family of 4 for 40 fucking fortnights.
You know, my talent and me being famous, that's the word it is. Famous, and this goes for all types of fame, especially this new wave of fame of people who don't do anything. I'm not talking about like, and I'm going to talk about this later because I did hate on TikTok a lot, but like I'm not talking about like, you know, those TikTokers who were like, you know, like Bella, who's like actually, you know, has music, and yeah, she got famous doing something like weird, but like, you know, she has music or whatever. I'm talking about the people who literally, the people who are on the next influencer, except for Raul, who was the dentist. That's who I'm talking about. People who literally have no talent but to sit in front of a screen and make weird faces and be strangely hot but weirdly young.
No.
That's the kind of people who feel like they are entitled and deserve everything that they get because they know how to use the internet and look face-tuned and kind of hot. Like, it's just, you understand what I'm saying? And I think that kind of examines that in Art is Dead. I mean, I think he's also grown from this point, from kind of maybe this standpoint. We'll see in this new comedy special if he's like sees himself as a different person than the person who made Art is Dead. But I think that it is a great starting basis, and it is kind of one of the fundamentals of Bo being Bo, of like having this existential crisis of whether he is enough whether he should serve himself, serve the audience, what he should do with that power that he has as an entertainer. And I truly appreciate that. Now I was gonna do 5, but I had to slide in this one before I go to my last one. Kind of 2 I'm gonna slide in actually, so it might be like 7. I'm gonna slide in Rant, which is just a like, I don't even know if it has a name. It's just called Rant on this YouTube clip.
Jesus is sort of like... In the back, I sit and I nod to the beats that are bumping from my iPod. My God, they're starting to pray, and over the music I can hear them say, "Dear God, dear Lord, dear vague muscular man with a beard or a sword, dear good all-seeing being, my way or the highway, Yahweh, the blue-balled anti-masturbator, the great all-loving faggot hater. I'd like to thank your holy might for making me both rich and white, and though this is your day of rest, I come to you with one request. There's so much pain beyond this steeple. Wars and drugs and homeless people. Sadness where there should be joy. Hate and rape and soldier boy. A world in darkness needs your light, so I'm sure your schedule's pretty tight. But my dog just had leg surgery. If you could fix that first."
It's amazing. It's like just this kind of mess of a train of thought that just like, it feels like a trip through Bo's brain, because like, it's like you see like all these deep thoughts, but then it goes off into like talking about Deborah messing like finger, so like it just goes off into this like kind of like train of thought kind of a feel, just like literally a rant.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, turn up your nose, strike that pose, hey Macarena.
But he makes some excellent points, obviously. Again, bringing up religion, he makes some excellent points. But yeah, super amazing. And then obviously I cannot go on without talking about the country song, the country pander song. There's known by many names. It's pandering, dude.
I write songs about riding tractors from the comfort of a private jet. I could sing in Mandarin, you'd still know I'm pandering. Hunting deer, chasing trout, a Bud Light with the logo facing out. Hear that subtle mandolin? That's textbook pandering.
I think that it is funny. I think that I agree with him. I think that obviously he has a speech where he talks about how country music is so great, and I think the things that I love about country music are the same things that I think he likes about country music, about like, you know, 4 chords, in the words of Trixie Mattel, who quoted somebody else, give me 4 chords and the truth.
You know, in country music, there's a saying, and it says, give me 3 chords and the truth, which means it doesn't have to be a complicated song. It just has to be meaningful. It has to be real.
And I think that that is very beautiful, and I think that obviously Dolly Parton is one of the most influential and beautiful songwriters of ever, like, ever. Country music is similar to like hip-hop music in that it is a lot of like painting a lifestyle and an imagery that may not be your lifestyle or your imagery, and you're just painting that because that's what the genre, you think the genre needs or calls for. I think that country music and hip-hop are, especially rap, are 2 sides of the same coin in that kind of respect, because you see obviously all these young rappers like flexing on things like, how did you get that money, sir? Like, I know you're not out here slinging dope. Like, I know that that's not how you got that money. You're just a rich kid and you're portraying this life because you think that that is what you have to do to sell records. And the same thing goes for country music. It's like you grew up in New York, the least country place, not a cow in sight, you know, but you feel like you have to portray this like, I'll be your honey mustard, I'll be your chicken wing,
I'll be your shot of whiskey.
Would you guys shut up and let me gloat?
I'll be your chicken wing.
kind of lifestyle, because that's what the genre demands, and that's what that song is all about. And then now we're gonna go to my favorite Bo Burnham piece ever. I'm pretty sure it's everybody's favorite Bo Burnham piece ever, and it is the Kanye West rendition, Can't Handle It.
I Wouldn't have got the lettuce if I knew it wouldn't fit. Wouldn't have got the cheese if I knew it wouldn't fit. Wouldn't have got the peppers if I knew they wouldn't fit. I wouldn't have got half of it. Like I'm okay with small mistakes. If you got no more chicken, I'll take pork. But I'll blow my dad before I eat a burrito with a fork. Wouldn't have got the lettuce if I knew it wouldn't.
It starts off super funny, talking about Pringle cans.
So they all go spilling onto my face. What I'm trying to say is the diameter of Pringle cans is way too small. I'll say it again, the diameter of Pringle cans is way too small. 2 radiuses of a Pringle can is way too small. If you feel me, put your hands up. Come on. If you feel me, put your hands up. Look at all these hands that are way too big to fit inside a Pringle can.
Having a daughter, or going to the gym, just kind of these like random thoughts, kind of resembling a Kanye freestyle rap situation, when he's just going off about, you know, whatever his life problems were. But it kind of like, obviously there's so much, it's so multi-layered and multifaceted, because he goes to talking about going to Chipotle and how the burrito is overstuffed, and kind of that becomes a metaphor for how he's like, you know, feeling, and how he feels like, if I knew that this life was going to be like this, that it would come at the cost of like my mental health, my mentals, then I wouldn't have gotten the lettuce if I knew it wouldn't fit.
I don't think that I can handle this right. I don't think that I can handle this right. I don't think that I can handle this right. Look at them, they're just staring at me like, come and watch the skinny kid with a steadily declining mental health, and laugh as he attempts to give you what he cannot give himself. Think that I can handle this right.
And that kind of becomes the big obvious metaphor that, like, I'm not saying anything that any other YouTuber who has talked about Bo Burnham hasn't said, but yeah, it becomes that basically, and it's such a beautiful rendition. It's super funny, it's super real. Obviously I also love Make Happy. It's one of my favorite comedy specials, and that last song, outside of just Can't Handle, the last song that he does is super amazing as well, but Can't Handle is the one that always sticks into my head, because obviously it's this beautiful blend of comedy, obviously, but like this kind of very real moment. And also, the lights are fucking dope, dude. The lights situation that was going on in that stage, I want to know.
I put on a silly show. I should probably just shut up and do my job, so here I go. Wouldn't have got the lettuce if I knew it wouldn't fit. Wouldn't have got the cheese if I knew it wouldn't fit. Wouldn't have got the peppers if I knew they wouldn't. Wouldn't have got half. You can tell them anything if you just make it funny, make it rhyme. And if they still don't understand you, then you will run it one more time. Think that I can handle this right.
That's another thing that I've learned about Bo Burnham. He has directed some of my favorite comedy pieces. He did Gerard 8. He directed it. He did Chris Rock's Tambourine, I believe. He directed that. I genuinely like his directing style. And obviously 8th grade, we all know how we felt about 8th grade. So it's super amazing to see him work. I'm super happy that he's coming back. We don't deserve, but we are happy nonetheless. So maybe I'll just toss it back to younger me, who started editing this video about, I don't know, a year ago, and didn't really know how to properly format. Whew. Hopefully she wrapped the video properly. But I appreciate what you do, and I applaud you, sir. And also 8th grade is a really fucking dope movie, even though it made my heart hurt by remembering all the worst memories of middle school. And this is just kind of a I appreciate you video. And for anyone who doesn't know Bo Burnham's work, I probably put clips throughout this video so that you can like look and watch, but like I highly recommend getting a Netflix subscription. Like I highly recommend it, because it just kind of makes you feel not necessarily good, but it makes me, and I feel like a lot of people, feel heard. So I'm Yemi.com. That was my take on Bo Burnham. Don't worry, I will be back, so stay tuned.